did everybody pick a quote that they liked to read to us?
No.
I didn't. Sorry, I
anyone?
didn't know there was a thing.
Oh, it's a thing. Yeah, who's that? I don't know who that is.
Sarah.
I couldn't really find a quote. I just kind of took in the book.
Okay. Let's start from there. Go on.
Okay.
In what way did you take?
So I took in that she was working towards trying to overcome, well, not really overcome. That's not the right word. To come to terms with who she is and what the Force was calling her towards. Because she kept trying to shove it off to the side. Like, I don't want to deal with that anymore. But the Force was like, no, I'm going to put you in scenarios and you have to do it. Deal with it.
Right.
Yep.
Do we think she's kind of living in the past and living in that those moments where she no longer can like hear Anakin or even recognize that he's in the world?
Yeah, I do think there is a lot of that nostalgia there. That's what prevents her from actually growing. But it's a little later in the book when she actually realizes, like, by searching for the crystals, that she is able to say this was her past. This is not something she should seek anymore, but continue on and be this new person. And that's then why she was able to create a whole new lightsaber and take the one lightsaber that is make it no longer red and have it turn white, because she was able to finally actualize herself.
So what is that? I don't understand. Explain to me, Gabe, the whole thing about the crystals, because I don't know what that is really.
Hang on. But well, she tried to purify them.
So she purified and white.
Yeah.
Yes, because that's part of the Jedi Padawan trials, is to obtain a light crystal that calls to you that it's yours alone, and that is the one that you use for your lightsaber. But she had buried her lightsaber because that was her past. So now she had to create a new one, and she reached out through the Force to find out where one was calling to her, and it happened to be the place where she was. So I think that's another thing. I'm just saying, focus on the here and now, as opposed to like all the stuff that was in the past. It doesn't apply anymore. It's a whole new ball game. And once she accepted that and opened herself up to that, she was able to find a new crystal and create a new lightsaber.
Well, what was interesting about that crystal? Sorry, go ahead, Susan.
No, you go. I'm letting you talk. My mom said I should talk.
Okay. So what I thought was really interesting about the crystal was that the song was different, but it had pieces of the old song, as to kind of show that there was this evolution. Because she was kind of looking, like, you kind of hear how she's kind of looking for the same song. And then she realizes that's not it.
And then the crystals led her back to the moon, where the crystals were on the moon. I was
on Raeda.
On Raeda, yeah. So she, why is she like? Why is she afraid? She's worried about meditating. Like anybody seeing her meditating, is that a reasonable thing that she'd be worried about? Like, oh no, she's meditating, she must be a Jedi. Or don't other people meditate in this Star Wars universe?
That I'm not so sure is a Jedi thing, because a lot of people would take a moment to center themselves, as we saw in the one Leia book, how Amelin would even take time to center herself. But here, I think it's more a matter of, she's like stopping work. And that's the whole thing. They're all supposed to be doing something for the Empire. They're supposed to be doing the agriculture. They're supposed to be fixing things. They basically have no downtime. It's that whole adage. If you have time to lean, you have time to clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going through my notes
There,
here.
and even at that, like she says, I really at some point in time she tells the person she finds out in the middle of the desert that she needs her to stay and watch while she's meditating because she realizes she's vulnerable when she's meditating because she
Yeah, her
hasn't
friend.
done it in
Oh
so
yeah,
long.
that's a good point. Forgot about that.
Did anybody feel like there was like loose ends left? Like there's going to be a sequel? Like there needs to be a sequel to this book because there's so many things that I found that were just kind of left hanging. Like
Yes.
all the great chapters. Like what was the deal with focusing on Obi-Wan for a thing, and then you talk about the Sixth Brotherhood or whatever, and the gray dude with the lightsabers. We kind of never really found out who he was unless we did from Clone Wars.
Yeah, it threw me all kinds of off. There were a lot of things that threw me off. Like them just in chapter 15, towards the end, they go back and they do a flashback with like Anakin, but it's from Anakin's perspective. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop the book. I was like, what's going on here? What just happened? Did I just switch books? Is there something wrong with my book?
Yeah. It's a great page, so it's different. It's the middle of the battlefield was a less than ideal place for an in-depth self-reflection, but Anakin Skywalker was a well-trained Jedi and more up to the challenge. I mean that chapter, yeah, that chapter stuck out. I had no idea what that had to do with anything. This is all in the past. This is like a an Anakin flashback that I didn't really understand.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one confused because I was very confused.
Well, I noticed that they were flashbacks, but it wasn't until you were like in the story that it was like, oh, that happened in the past, or is that happening now? And then and with me, I had an audiobook, and I'm sitting there and I'm like,
it was
I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, and as I'm trying to figure it out, they're going on with the story, and I'm like, wait, I just missed everything. Agitating.
Yeah, the thing at the end with the Grand Inquisitor. Who the heck is the Grand Inquisitor? Do we know who that is?
I thought of that guy with the gray armor, very tall, black face.
Okay, but yes, okay, but however, but Kanan, but but tried to kill the guy.
Was he in Rebels?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yes, he was.
Oh, okay.
I never.
I have to go back and look for that. You should watch Rebels.
Really,
I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I will recommend Rebels.
Okay.
Clone Wars too.
Clone Wars I watched a few episodes on.
I started to watch it. It's just like space battle, space battle, space battle, desert planet, space battle. I got it. I didn't get into it really, but I'm curious about why Mr. Johnston here decided to include these chapters because they don't really fit in with the rest. You're right. If you're reading, I have the hardcover, and if you look at the pages, those chapters are. The pages are gray, but if you listen to it on an Audible book, how can you tell?
Yeah,
that's weird. There's apparently like people, the Grand Inquisitor, these people are like going around the galaxy looking for Force sensitive kids, and they left that hanging.
Well, but that takes place, but right after. I mean, okay. On. Okay, but that picks up, but during okay, but Star Wars, but Rebels.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's fine. It would have been a little better if it had stayed in somewhat of a chronological sequence at most.
Mm-hmm.
At least, or as some kind of narrative sequence. It does jump around a lot, and Granted, Ahsoka then works on intelligence, so she will have to pull from different things. But I think I may just be giving too much credit to this author because it's possible
Mhm.
this author is a junior author.
Mm.
Yeah.
They
Well,
have
it
they
is a
need a
blank.
little bit more writing under their belt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's this thing about I wrote at the top of the page grief and PTSD, and I'm on there's no page numbers in the gray chapters, so and there's no chapter number either. So I'm right at the end. The one that starts with for several months, Ahsoka slips into a sort of functional comatose state. She refused to feel, and this is an important chapter for her though. She refused to feel anything and didn't talk to anyone much, but she was able to go about the business of daily life as though nothing was wrong. Someone who knew her wouldn't have been fooled for an instant, but no one knew her anymore, so the deception held. I mean, it just goes on like that. It's just so sad. You know, who is she? Is she Ahsoka or is she Asha?
She's
Which does she want to be? Which does she want to be? Does she want to help people, or does she want to like huddle herself up in a house that that she just is camping out in, and not and like fix little bits of machinery and have pieces left over? I want to ask Dan, Gabe. I want to ask Dan about how many things he's put back together and he has pieces left over at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I did find it amusing how they inserted R2D2 into this and talked about his espionage and whatnot.
Yeah, and he helped her fix the ship. I was like, oh yay, it's R2. I'm so excited to see R2.
Yeah, well, not just that, but like you actually get to see, because it's kind of hard to tell the intelligence of R2. Like you just kind of see things and you feel like he's directed by this or that. But then you start, hey, your video started working.
I know, it's working now. No, it might disappear. Sorry, guys.
So, but like the kind of intricacies that you really see as to how he played this whole thing, you can tell that it's more than just he's operating on certain commands. Let's go do this and that. He's actually making choices to be lenient towards Ahsoka, but still be in service to the person that's currently employing him.
Mm-hmm. Who? Wait, I lost him. Who? Him?
R2.
Oh, R2. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't really have much of a choice where he goes, though. I mean, they kind of trade him around.
Well, no, that's true. But like, you actually get to see that he's a very sentient being, more so than even, on par. Like, I don't know. When I watch the movies, I get a sense of R2 is not as smart, like not as intelligent as, say, C3PO. But in this scene, you really get to see that he is a far more intelligent than even C3PO is.
Mm-hmm.
And that C3PO is actually the one that more runs on the concept of, I have to do what I'm told. But here we get to see that he's making his own decisions, not just running on a protocol.
Right. Well, he makes his own. I mean, he's capable of self-awareness. He seems to be capable of self-awareness. And at the point, I mean, they made a point that at the end of the Sith movie that wipe C-3PO's mind, but don't wipe R2-D2's mind, because R2-D2 is like the vault. He carries he's the secret carrier. I mean, he knows all Padme's secrets. He knows all Leia's secrets. He knows all these people's secrets. And he never talks. They trust him to not say anything. Bail Organa trusted R2-D2 not to say anything.
Yeah.
I think that's it. He's like, all right, you don't say anything. We trust you. And they didn't trust C-3PO because he's got a big mouth. and no filter.
Yeah.
Reminds me of someone.
I cannot relate to that at all.
I
I mean, I got a filter when I want to use it.
I have no filter. Ask Gabe. I have no filter. Okay. What else? Let me see. What else? Anybody else have any things they want to talk about or questions? Or I'm gonna leave this. Leave this.
I love all the interactions with Bale.
Yeah,
because he is one of those who is like so smart, but also at the same time, just like you can get the upper hand on him, and he will let you know and kind of give you a tip of the hat or some respect, saying, "Okay, you got the better of me. Okay, this is not going to happen again." So, I don't know. I just really like that about him. Like, I really respect his character, and just he does have so much that is on his shoulders, trying to help with the rebellion, while at the same time caring for Leia.
right.
Like, he's still a dad, and he still tries to take time out for her. And you see that he is a good dad, at least with this book. You see how he's kind of failing Leia in the Leia book, but in this book, you see how he is a good dad, and like they're having conversations, and she's like, he's always talking with Leia, and it's just you get to see him as a human.
Yeah, he just has this big fish tank in his office so Leia can be entertained and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. He's a good cat. He's such a good character. I mean, I just love him in general. But he was keeping up with random acts of kindness that Ahsoka was doing on her little trips for the Far East. When she took the ship out and then she would rescue people or bring food to people or whatever she was doing, he was hearing about that. He wasn't paying attention to the bad stuff that was happening. He was like, someone out there is doing good things for no apparent reason, and I want to know why. Right?
Yeah. And it's good that we focus on those stories too. Because when all we hear is the dark, evil, terrible stories, etc., it can really tear at our souls, make us like feel like that the world's all evil, and we don't remember humans are humans, and they should be protected, and we should pursue peace. So paying attention to the fact that there are other people out there that are doing the good thing, that they can rise above.
Yeah.
It's just like when we watch the news, like it gets very depressing when you hear about like all these ships that were destroyed or all these bombings happening. You just don't want to turn on the news at all. But then you get a story about
because of that.
Yeah, exactly. And in a way that makes us less informed. But it also, it dehumanizes. We forget about the good things that people can do because we don't hear about it. We want to hear about a little girl who was able to sell a lot of cookies and then use that money to go fund something. Like, we want to hear those things too.
Yeah.
Remind us of why it's good to be human.
I recently read a really interesting post where someone says the opposite of a trigger is called a glimmer. And it's something that happens that reminds you, takes you back to a good point. You know,
I like that.
I do like that.
It's when a good thing triggers you to feel good and to do better. And I never knew that before. And that I've been thinking about that for like the last week, because I think that's brilliant.
That's what's going to stick with me, and I'll be like my biggest takeaway for this discussion. It's like, yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, we need T-shirts.
So I got a question about this book, because there was a few points that popped out, and keep in mind I'm not really heavy on the lore, so these are going to sound pretty weird questions. Number 1, 66. Wasn't that Anakin?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. But I'm not sure she knows yet.
So, and that was going to be my first question, is that it sounds like that she doesn't know that it was Anakin, and she thinks that Anakin and Padme are like happy ever after, but she kind of references that she was there and that she was the only survivor. So if she was the only survivor of 66,
I think she thinks
she not know?
Anakin's dead. I think she thinks that they're dead.
Well,
I
there
think
was
she
a
does
few
too.
times that she would reference, well, Padme does this with him to kind of keep him in his place, and he has Padme. So she kind of talks to him in the present tense, but at the same time recognizing that she doesn't have a very strong control on him. But at the very beginning, she talks about, well, I'm not Jedi, and I lost the ability to connect to the Force.
So because you and I were listening to the audiobook, I think that those were sections that would have been what she's saying were in the gray areas, like they were just history points because they were flashbacks.
Okay.
Yeah, see, that's why it was so confusing for us. And I sat there and I was like, if I did not have to sit here and have a headache from reading, that's why I do audiobooks. Like I stare at screens all day. I see words all day. I have really a lot of difficulty reading stuff. So I do audiobooks. But I feel like that in this particular case, in this book, we missed out because we did the audiobook.
Yeah, I caught on to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a little messed up that they did it that way. Who read the audiobook? Anybody good?
The original Ahsoka, actually, is what I'm told.
Oh, okay.
What happened?
That's cool.
The girl that played Ahsoka in Clone Wars, I'm pretty sure that's Sophia was the one that mentioned it, that she was the one who read the audiobook.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. That's cool. That's cool.
Okay, so she's not aware of him being the one. So then why does she talk about that she's a survivor?
Well, I think she has some survivor guilt there because she was a survivor, but that's because she's not a Jedi. That was why she was spared. They didn't know. So that's survivor guilt.
Yeah,
okay. That's fair.
Tons of survivor guilt. It's not. They don't say it explicitly, but it's like it's an undercurrent in everything she does. You know, I couldn't save these people, but I can maybe save these people. And if I can save these people, if I can do little things to save other people, to help people, you know, then she can find peace with herself. And she definitely thinks Anakin's dead. I thought she was going to find out that Anakin was Vader in this book. I really did.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, but the book was written way before Rebels. So
what is this Rebels? I gotta look this up.
Star Wars Rebels is great.
It is. It's a cartoon series. Of all the cartoon series, it's my favorite.
The book came out in 2016. So does that help?
Not really.
Not really.
Is it like a TV show?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, 2014 to 2018. Yeah, that doesn't look familiar.
Do we eventually find out that she eventually finds out that Anakin is Vader on Rebels? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, that makes sense. Now, no wonder I didn't understand it. I haven't watched Rebels.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, then it makes it even more confusing when you realize that Ahsoka is able to kind of slip out of time.
Yeah, that really hit me too. That's what I thought they were talking about in there, actually. Because like when you go through those different points, I was like, is she slipping in and out of time?
Right.
But they never tied it together, so I don't know if they were trying to go for that or not.
Oh, that's right. That might be part of what's happening. Like those are things that she's seeing when she is out in that one temple.
Yeah, okay, but that's the reason
I retract my statement
the
if
great
that was
ages.
intentional.
Right.
I
Because
don't know, but I don't know. They never really explained it. So
Yeah.
Time out. Teddy was talking.
Okay.
Teddy's off.
okay, because she has gone through the world. Okay, but something, but hang on, but something, but that they call it, the world between worlds. So, okay, so that's why the flashbacks. I mean,
Okay.
cause she, okay, okay, um, because the world between worlds is like trying to see yourself through, well, but a mirror. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
but I'll have to do some more, but search about it.
That's awesome. You're giving us all the information we need. That's terrific. Thank you, Teddy.
Yes.
We're
And to
trying.
give it just
I
a little bit more of a connection point, it's as though Ahsoka becomes the Doctor.
ha! Ha!
because she got a box. She boxed. The only thing she doesn't do is time travel, really, but in her head. But she boxed place like saving people from. There were no big critters in this one. I was kind of disappointed. No big monsters. I like a big monster scene, but there wasn't that.
Well, she is learning to direct people too, and showing them, things like don't be reckless. It was actually something that Sarah and I kind of realized this morning about this whole book, was that she's sitting there and she's directing people. Hey, look, I can do this. I need you to not do anything. And there's value there. If you're not trained to do something, don't get involved.
Yeah.
And she's telling them that. So she's still teaching. She's actually teaching in a way. You need to listen to me and let's move forward. But you need to go with my plan because you don't know what you're doing. Don't make your own plans, because that's when you really screw up. I'm trying to, but then she also realizes I didn't give you enough information about who I am for you to trust me and trust my wisdom.
Right.
But okay, but there's a live show. Okay, but Ray, but Dawson, okay, but plays her now.
Yes, there is a live show, but I think that takes place. That takes place after Rebels.
Yeah.
So what does she do in Rebels? I mean, what's her role in that, and when does that take place?
But she helps out, but Kanan, okay, but the crew, well, but to the ghost, and okay, but she becomes, but okay, she's codenamed herself, but Falcon. Yeah.
Fulcrum. Yeah, and that's actually where she coins the name in this book at the end.
Yeah. So we need a sequel, is what we need. Basically, we're missing the second book.
Well, I feel like this kind of explained how she became Fulcrum, and that the next stages of what she was doing were kind of encapsulated in Rebels, but it doesn't tell you until really a lot about what she's doing until towards the end. But it is kind of the continuation of this story. It's just not her specific story. We just know now, okay, this is how she became Fulcrum. This is how she got on Bail's team. And now we see that she's orchestrating things in the background until you actually meet her as Fulcrum eventually in Rebels.
So she's Fulcrum in Rebels.
You do not know this.
Yes.
The entirety of the Clone Wars life, do you?
Okay.
Try that one again. I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Ma,
Yeah, okay, come closer and then say what you were saying.
Ma, you do not know what the Clone Wars which way was, like the 2008 3D.
Hi, it doesn't.
It was literally
This is recorded.
Ahsoka's story.
Whatever.
Whoa, whoa,
We're
whoa,
talking
whoa, whoa!
about.
Hey! Come on.
In
Indoor
literally
voices,
the
guys.
final season of the Clone Wars, she
Yes.
uses the name Fulcrum.
In
Yes.
Clone Wars,
Yes.
she uses the name Fulcrum.
Mhm.
In
Yes.
the last season, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Because turns out that's one of Anakin's secure networks.
okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Everybody, take a breath and dial it back a little bit. We're starting to argue.
No.
Take a breath.
That's my son. That's my son. He can't hear you.
Okay.
He was talking. He was talking out loud, really, so that he could get heard on here. Anyways, it's being recorded, honey.
Oh.
Go.
Well, but he did, but turn out to be, well, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I learned something new today from my son.
I learned a lot about Clone Wars.
I mean, just try to go back and stream it. I mean, just.
Yeah.
He gets on to me because I haven't watched it yet.
I've
So does
watched
Sophia. Clone Wars.
Oh, I like the quotes in it.
Yeah. Like what?
Well, like how every episode starts out with a quote, or ends with a quote, or whatnot.
Yeah. It's like Criminal Minds.
Yes. I agree.
Criminal Minds. That's exactly what it reminded me of. So funny.
Yes.
What's the difference between a Togruta and a Twi'lek? Somebody tell me, because I don't know what a Togruta is.
Togruta has montrals rather than tendrils. They also have it's almost like the montrals go like into almost like a horn on top of the head.
Okay.
Yeah, Aoife came in, by the way.
Oh, hi. Yeah, also the Togruta's montrals work similar to the horn on a parasaurolophus. They can use it for echolocation, sound vibrations, and the like.
I was kind of freaked out when I read that her hood was too small because her head was growing. That freaked me out a little bit. Like her head grows and gets bigger. Oh my gosh! I mean, she was. I watched like the first season of Clone Wars, and she's this little tiny person, and she does a lot though.
Terrifying, you know.
Do you think that she tries to live on her own, but she gets involved because with people's issues because she gets dragged in, or because she volunteers?
Hang on.
A little bit of column A, a little column B.
Both. It's both.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's part of her destiny, like part of the Force aligning her to be in those situations, really. I don't know if she really is putting herself out there or people are taking her for too much of what she is, but I think the Force just puts her in the places that she's supposed to be at the right time, and she actually kind of listens to it more so than some other people in Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Tabitha?
Yeah.
That is Tabitha.
That is Tabitha.
Yay, I'm psychic.
Hey.
How many people in the room?
We have 6, 7. We have 7.
Cool. Let me see. I'm going to do the crystals. Rada has the crystals. Let me see. Somebody ask a question. Or give a quote. Come on,
I have to sit here and take my note thing. I noticed that me and you do the same thing as we're writing. We take notes. I love it.
Well, Tabitha and Michi haven't really had a chance to say their thoughts on the book.
Yeah. I want to hear from everybody.
Tabitha, do you want to go first?
Aoife, you go.
Sorry,
Okay.
I can hear you guys, but I'm in the middle of cooking.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to finish the book. However, what I did get through, I thought it was really insightful as far as what Ahsoka had to go through in her time, especially her thought processes. And like, I liked what was stated about how she was, she's brought to these situations by the Force, and like I agree with that. Like it shows it in the book, like these situations were she's brought into multiple situations that she didn't really want to be in, but like she had to be there, and she did end up helping out in the long run. So, like I really enjoy at least that part. I know that was a good chunk of like the very beginning of it, but like I really did enjoy that part of it. I enjoyed seeing more about the inner monologue for Ahsoka and what she had to go through, and like the fight the Jedi goes through on a day-to-day basis.
Indubitably.
Yeah.
Anybody else? All right, we'll go to the printed questions. Let's see, we have printed questions. I have some questions. I wrote down general questions. Would you say the book had a moral or driving idea? If so, what is it? Were there recurring words, symbols, words, and objects that you noticed?
I mean, the theme that I would come up with is that it was coming to terms with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And coming to terms with what you're called to. Because, like, you can be called to an adventure and never accept. But this was kind of like one of those things where she didn't want to accept it, but she kept moving on it anyway because that is innate in her. So coming to terms with that and realizing, okay, well, I did, going back to that survivor's guilt, but I did survive, but I survived for a reason. And it wasn't just because I left. There's more to it than that. So who am I? Because like that was another question. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Was kind of put through here.
Okay. Gabe, any thoughts?
What I picked up was a lot of that you can't escape your past. You can, because that's essentially what Ahsoka was doing. She went to this furthest moon. Obviously, part of it is for safety reasons, but it's also just to run away from the temple, to run away from everything. She was no longer a Jedi. She wanted to get as far away from the Jedi temple as possible to just escape that whole thing. And what's funny is even when she leaves Raeda to go find crystals, she's pulled back to Raeda to get the crystals. So even that's part of her past now. She can't escape that. She is essentially forced to face everything, and part of that discovery of who she is, because that you do need to deal with your past, with your history, to be able to move on to your future. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to grow. Okay.
So those of you who know more about her, have watched Rebels or have watched Clone Wars, what is it? Is there a difference between the book Ahsoka and the show Ahsoka, or she stays the same?
Yes.
How does what is her path after she? I mean, this is her new path after all the Jedi are gone. So,
she, in my opinion, because I only seen a few episodes of the Clone Wars, but the one thing that really, really popped out is how much of a go-getter she was. In this book, she's more reserved. She's more fearful. Shockingly. In the last one, it was, I don't care. I'm going to run out into danger and I'm going to do whatever it is that I have to do. She was very I don't want to say argumentative, but she stood up a lot against authority. Where with this one, she just kind of sits back and you see that rebelness in her and, poking fun at people. But it's not like the level she's doing it to save face. It's not that she believes in it like she used to. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I think she seems lost in the book compared to her confidence in the Clone Wars show.
Mm-hmm. And what happened on Mandalore? That at the beginning, Mandalore was burning. What was that all about? Does anybody know? Somebody will know.
Maul took over Mandalore.
I didn't know.
Yes.
He wasn't dead. I'm like, where? I'm like, what? I'm like, what time period? Where's Darth Maul? I'm like running my brain around in circles trying to figure out how.
Can we just talk about like how they described him of him like crawling around and like how she like that part was like, oh my goodness.
But hang on, okay, but Darth Maul comes back. Well, but in Star Wars, but Rebels, and but guess who kills him? Take a wild guess.
Yeah, he comes back in Rebels, and he is very. He's got issues. He got issues. That's all I can say is he got issues.
That's all you
can say? Just the way that he interacts and he talks, and it's weird and disconcerting. Yeah, that's a very good word for that. It's very disconcerting.
Okay, the guy he has, but PT, okay, but DS, but he does not know, but how to channel it. I mean, but okay, but well, positively, right or wrong?
Okay.
No, I would say that's accurate. I mean, being stuck in a trash heap for any amount of time, and then while being half of a living being is going to do something to your head, so to your sanity, it's going to definitely mess with you. So yeah, like he's definitely not dealing with his trauma from that.
Right. But guess who comes? Well, just try to watch Rebels, because guess who comes back in it?
Who?
Well, I can't. Okay. Kenobi!
Are we have spoilers? No spoilers. I mean, we can worry about spoilers later.
Okay.
I'm not worried about spoilers.
Okay. But Kenobi comes back.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, but see, Darth Maul can't seem to get past, but Kenobi, but we're trying to cut him, but to half. Okay, because, thanks to the very first movie. Okay. Yes, but he cannot try to get past it. So, okay, so Maul tries to kill, but Luke. Spoiler, sorry.
Okay.
But hang on.
That actually happens in Kenobi, though, not in Rebels. So it was like there's like this whole timeline that's really weird, and the Star Wars universe ends up both as cartoon and live action mixture.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of weird how it works.
What's
But,
canon? What's not canon?
Oh, it's all well. Okay, so it's all canon unless you want to argue that the new Acolyte movie shouldn't be. So I guess there's that.
Okay. But yeah,
But anyways, we're talking about a
Sounds like having that one workshop on what's canon.
Right. So, but going back to the Ahsoka book,
yeah. Circling back.
What were your other questions that you had?
I'm supposed to say. I wrote down a list of these things I'm supposed to say. Instead of "Did you like it?" try asking, "How did the book make you feel and why?" Round table. Gabe, you go.
Honestly, I wasn't feeling this book. I had a hard time getting through it, and the only reason I was able to draw anything out of it is because I came here. Like, you guys, talking with you guys has actually caused me to see different angles of how the book could be interpreted. But before that, I didn't know what I was going to say in here. I was like, I need to find something because I don't want it to be dead space of me just being like, yeah, I don't know. The book just wasn't. So,
well, in fairness, I think a lot of it has to do with we did the audio because I felt the same exact way, and it was a struggle getting through. But I don't think that it was because of the story. I think that it was because it was audiobook, and usually I can do audiobook, but I really struggled to pay attention with that. But I think it was because of the flip-flopping all the way around and not really fully understanding anything. I couldn't just stop it and like call you on the phone and say, "Hey, I got a question about the lore," right? I couldn't do that. So so I feel like the audio really held it against me. So the next time I'm going to do at least a Kindle, if not a hands-on book.
Yeah,
I think the audio, the Audible can only do so much. Yeah, I think for me, I felt a little disappointed, but I think that's because I was expecting the Ahsoka that you would see in Rebels and in her later live action. I was expecting that self-assured Ahsoka, and here I am, who's the anxiety-driven, just worrying about everything and very reserved. Like, I was not expecting that Ahsoka, although I guess I should have. But once seeing it through that lens, I'm like, oh, okay, this actually makes a lot of sense. This person just is completely just unsure of what she's going to do next. Her whole life had been taken out from under her. So what is she going to do now?
I almost wonder if that's the reason why in the Audible book that they used her earlier voice actor instead of a more mature one.
Yes.
Ashley loves Ahsoka Tano. She actually was very disappointed that she did not get to play her in the live action. She did love Rosario Dawson's portrayal of her, but yeah, Ashley, I could think she's the voice actress for Ahsoka for the cartoon. Pretty much anything that's not Rosario Dawson's live action portrayal and the little girl that they had portraying young Ahsoka in the series. But like, yeah, she jumped on the chance to make sure that she got to narrate this book because she loves the character Ahsoka so much.
That's awesome. Oh, okay. That's awesome.
I feel bad now.
Thanks. You feel bad? Bad.
Yeah. Bad. No, I think that she did a really good job. It just I like the sound effects in it. That was pretty interesting. It was my first time with the sound effects and the lightsaber and all that other fun stuff. So it kind of helped draw a picture. Now with me, I think a lot of the struggle is that I'm very, very fantasy and young adult. And I feel like that was sci-fi and teen. So it was kind of hard.
What's your favorite YA series?
Oh my God, seriously? The Fourth Wing. I'm hooked on The Fourth Wing.
Yeah. My daughter reads all the YA stuff too, and she she tends to like say, "Oh, Mom, you got to read this. You got to read this. You got to read this." You know, so I catch up with her.
Yeah,
but there's,
I'm a huge fan.
Even though these are young adult books, like for like Ross's son Robbie's age, we can still get stuff out of them.
Oh yeah,
know?
I love young
definitely.
adult book. I think what my struggle was with this book is that it was too fast. It wasn't that detailed. Like I would have to know what these characters look like in order to get a good picture in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm looking at her and I'm seeing, the live action person.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, I think she was a heck of a lot younger than that. And because I don't know the lore, I don't know at what point she walked away from the Jedi. So
hang on. But she walked away because during Clone Wars, okay, but hang on. Okay. But the chick called Barris tried to blow up the temple and tried to frame her for it. So that's why she walked away because
right.
Because she tried to tell the council, hey, okay, but that's not me, and plus the council, okay, they didn't buy it, okay, but due to the Baroness trying to hack and slice through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, what I'm saying is that I don't know what her age is. I don't know.
17. She's 17 at the end of Clone Wars, so she's around 18 or 19 in the books.
She said that her friend on the moon was a couple of years younger than her, and she was 16. So I guess she's like 19.
Yep.
Yeah. See, if I was reading, I would have caught that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's 17 at the end of the Clone Wars cartoon.
Okay.
Well, that helps because now I'm like, okay, mentally, this poor child, oh my goodness. The crap that I'm not even going to psychoanalyze. I'm just saying, like the trauma, the way that she's responding, I get it. She's an orphan. She just lost even her adoptive family. She feels all alone. And this girl's 18, 19 years old and trying to maneuver around this new life. Oh my God. Like the psychological damage in itself.
Yeah. Especially because of
functioning.
And then her friend hits on her. And she's just like, yeah, I don't know what to do with this.
But I thought that was...
And I kind of feel like at her age, she should be like, hey, what's up? All right.
Yeah. Well, she's still basically a teenager. So there's, she definitely is what... I'm not as familiar with PTSD as I should be. But was there places in the book where you felt that came out from her, that she reacted in ways that would suggest that she is struggling with PTSD? Which, she went through a war. She saw a lot of death.
I feel like it. Yeah.
Her whole world is gone. Her entire world, her entire universe, everything she counted on, everything she thought she had handled is all just blown away from her, like all at once with Order 66. And she thinks everybody's dead.
Yeah, her response to wanting to run was like a huge red flag to me because she didn't want to face it. She didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to fight it. She wanted to leave, but at the same time, she's like, I can't.
Well, also, let's address the factor that with the PTSD, like so she's force sensitive, and she's been force sensitive since she was 3 years old, according to the lore. And she's been able, particularly since everybody, all living things around her. So she has that. We know that Jedi in general in the lore have that, and she particularly has that. So, like, Order 66 happened. That alone had to be far more traumatic. We watched Obi-Wan Kenobi, a seasoned Jedi, have to sit down when he felt it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like when Alderaan blew up, it was the same kind of reaction to people. You know, it's just the horror of that, you know, and how people react to things like that is just, you know, it's very telling. I mean, every time I read about Bail Organa and I'm like, and we know what happens to him, you know, I mean, we know what happens to Alderaan, and we know that he has a lot of tragedy in his future, and it's weird reading, you know, slightly younger Bail. He's you know, senator and trying to do the right thing, always trying to do the right thing.
Well, and I think even when all of her friends were playing that one game, and immediately when it's getting to be a lot of tactics, then she just got very uncomfortable. She got up and she had to walk away. Like she couldn't even just enjoy a game anymore because like she was still in that tactic mindset, and because that's all she did in Clone Wars. That's all she did when she was a Jedi. She had to think on those terms. She couldn't be a kid.
Right. What's the story with her early background? Like she mentioned something. Rada mentioned that she said she has an adopted family, and where she came from, it's kind of unclear to me.
A lot of that.
Like she still, her family still existed back on Jakarta. Her tribe kind of, as soon as she became force sensitive, decided she was a Jedi long before any Jedi ever showed up to her village. So she still has family there. I don't remember much beyond that. As far as the lore goes, because it wasn't touched on as much in the book. This was from other things, other canonical sources. But like, yeah, I was just looking at this earlier today, actually. But yeah, because like she went on this little pilgrimage with her mom, as soon as she got to be a Jedi, and then her mom ended it with dropping her off at the dropping her off at a Jedi temple, not realizing it wasn't fully functional, and that's where Plo Koon found her.
Oh, that's where Plo Koon found her.
Or
okay. Bye.
Plo Koon or Plo Koon. It's either Plo Koon or Kit Fisto. I can't remember which, but like it's one of those two.
Okay.
But it's Plo Koon.
Yeah, it was okay. I was right. It was Plo Koon.
Yeah,
Couldn't remember if it was Plo Koon or Kit Fisto, but yeah. Yeah, it's Plo Koon. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because during the Clone Wars, but he calls her some kind of pet name or something. I'm like,
Snips.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand, but okay, I'm going with it. Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, Snips was Anakin's pet name for her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did he call her that?
It's because she's snippy. It's literally because she's snippy. She's snippy. That is literally, it's as simple as that.
Okay.
She's quick-witted and she speaks before she thinks. She snips.
Okay. That makes sense. Okay. What was most surprising, intriguing, or difficult about the book? That difficult is going to come into play, I think. Someone wants to start. Think for a minute.
So I know that the four, what? The lore and Jedi Realist are different, but it wasn't until I was reading that did I realize how different the two are. I was kind of surprised by that because we always take from the lore and we always use the lore as examples. And then I'm sitting here and I'm like, not even in like any of the 6 movies would her actions be acceptable as Jedi. And she keeps referring back to the Jedi. And it's like, but that's not like who we are. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, not just that, but there's also, you see that Anakin is in her. And you can start to see, you can also see how
she's very emotional.
Right. And so was Anakin.
Yeah.
So if you look at this, you can actually see that she took a different path than he did. That was towards the light, towards Ashla. So he could have done that, but he didn't take that route. So it's, here they are, they're very similar to each other, and there are divergent roads against each other.
Oh, sorry about that, guys.
And ironically, neither one of them know the other exists until they come into contact with each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Gabe and going around the room here. Like, how did it make
I think
you?
for me, the most surprising thing was just seeing how even a remote planet can be used and abused by the Empire. Just seeing like how it's all food and they're using it to feed their stormtroopers. But then what they do to the Earth is like they basically take all the nutrients and make it so that you can't grow anything anymore. And me being somebody who loves to garden, like that really hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, you're destroying the Earth so that it can't produce anything anymore. It's like salting the Earth. Like it's just
Wrong.
I don't know. To me that's a sin. But like, no, you're hurting. No, don't.
And how
are other people going to live?
How does that play into Jedi realism? And our respect for the planet and things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly that.
Jedi respect all life in any form.
Yeah, and just how we need to recognize that our own actions will have repercussions. We need to see that what we do now will affect something later. That's why I love, I forget, there's like a Native American passage where like you plant a tree not for yourself and not for your children, but for your children's children.
Right.
So it's like that it continues.
Sounds like a Michael Jackson quote.
You probably stole it from
Sorry.
them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but will karma try to come back to us? But when we cross over to the Force,
yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
But yeah, no, the line in the code that relates to this is Jedi respect all life in any form. And then as Jedi realists, we also have a duty to all. So all is intended, even though it's not written in there, it was intended to include environment.
I'm kind of curious, would she be considered a Grey Jedi?
Yes.
Everybody's a Grey Jedi. You're a Grey Jedi. You're a Grey Jedi.
Well, no, I mean, so I'm sitting here writing my notes from when I did the book, and my last sentence is that she doesn't want to be a Jedi. She wants to be something new, and she starts doing missions. And I'm sitting here, and I'm like, I wonder if this is like the introduction in her story to Grey Jedi.
Grey Jedi, Bendu, Jedi, different name. Yeah. That middle ground.
I don't think she really wanted to be. I don't think she wanted to be tied to that Jedi name. I think she still ends up struggling with that one until she ends up taking on Sabine.
Mm-hmm.
Because she does teach Sabine the Jedi arts, but I'm not so sure that she really even calls herself Jedi in any form by that point.
No. Nope.
It's just that she
not a Jedi anymore. I mean, she said that one more time. I was going to reach through the book and smack her. It's like, I'm not a Jedi anymore. Like, okay, we get it, Ahsoka. You're not a Jedi anymore. Chill. You know. I really wanted her to stop beating herself up all the time for every decision she makes. I mean, she met that Force-sensitive child, the Farty girl, the Force-sensitive child. She's like thinking, well, what can I do for this? I can't do anything for this kid because if I take her away with me, I'll just put her in danger. You know? But is she going to keep an eye on her? Did she talk to somebody? I mean, kind of didn't really follow through with that.
Well, she did at least warn the father after a time.
Yeah. But the little girl's still in danger though, because the whoever the Inquisitor, Grand Inquisitor is looking for Force sensitive kids.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, in the second volume, maybe if it ever gets written, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anybody have any other comments they want to make?
Nope.
And I think in reference to her idea of self-importance, I do pick up on that as well. And I think that's also a very teenager thing where you're like the center of the universe. And it's even brought out in the whole idea on what's her code name? Fulcrum. She's not the center of the universe, but you use her to help move things around. So she is a focal point still.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to her constantly saying she's not a Jedi, I think that has to tie with her trauma from what happened last with the Jedi, personally. Because at the end of Clone Wars, they had, she had kept telling them, and she kept trying to tell them that she was innocent, but they didn't want to believe her at first. And then whenever it was proven, that's when she just decided to walk away because she felt betrayed. And so, like, that had to carry over.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's why she keeps saying, I'm not a Jedi. I'm not a Jedi. I'm not a Jedi over and over and over again throughout after Clone Wars. That's what we keep seeing her say.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's afraid to admit. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, she's afraid to, like, even. I mean, she admits it to herself that she's trying to convince herself so hard that she's not a Jedi anymore. But then she actually does a lot of. Even when she's not using the Force, she's still doing Jedi work. She's helping people. She's going out, with her little ship and doing random acts of kindness, which she's realizing that.
Yeah, she's realizing what it is to be a Jedi, and then it's not a title, it's not a term, it's a descriptor, but like it's you don't have to even be spiritual or religious with it. But she could just do it by being connected to the Force, going where the Force guides her, and doing what needs to get done to help out.
Good point. I like that. Anybody else? Allie, go. Say something. Be intelligent. I'm not being intelligent.
I don't know. Nothing really stuck out. It was a story, and I went with it. Like I said, if I'm being honest, I couldn't get into this book.
Yeah.
But I do love this discussion. Like I said, it reveals things and whatnot that I didn't think of. Sometimes you need that.
Mm-hmm. Well, Gabe and I were chatting before. We both agreed the Leia book was the best one we've done so far.
Yes,
I love
I actually agree with that. That is the best book we've done so far.
Claudia Gray has another book that's with new characters that I want to do. Next time it's almost 25 after or so. next time we're going to be reading Padawan by Kirsten White. So we can talk about differences between how a male character handles these characters, about how this author handles female character, and then how a female author writes male characters. So that should be interesting.